you for the introduction. And since last time, I have had a huge tour. I gave workshops about this Nordic path of initiation in Holland, both in Zutphen and in Den Haag. And then I went to Australia, where I gave the same 2 places in the southeast and southwest of Australia. And then I went to the Philippines, to Manila, and did the same there. So I have really been working with this Nordic path of initiation for 1 month now with new people. And what has amazed me is that for every new workshop, it goes easier and easier. And I have been raising that question to the groups, and I say, you are better than the last one, and that I could say to every group. And they all answer me the same, because I say it in a way that I'm amazed, and they say, of course, when somebody have walked before, it's easier to walk after. And that reminds me of Rudolf Steiner. He said exactly the same when he gave this path, the so-called 19-hour path. He said in the spring of 24, I think, that it is very important that as many as possible walk this path. Otherwise, it will grow over. It will be closed. It will be more difficult. And that was one of his sorrows, that not enough people went this path that he gave. This is recorded in the book Rudolf Steiner's Leidensweg, where several is recorded, or that he said that to them, and was sort of a little sad that not more went this path. But what I see now is exactly the same. When you, all of you, try to go this path, it gets easier and easier. Mm-hmm. And I'm very happy for that. So now they are training all these places, the Philippines, in Manila, in Australia, Perth, Melbourne, and in 2 places in Holland, in addition to the old groups in both Sweden, Norway, and America and Canada. So very good. So I would also ask you then, because now suddenly, since last time, let's say 100 more people are working with this path called the Nordic path of initiation. Have any of you observed or felt that it suddenly in the last month have become easier?
Yes.
Yes. You should take up a, can you do that, take up a statistic, if because that is extremely important. Is there any statistic in this mechanism to that somebody can press some number and then you have a statistic? Andre?
Well, yes. I mean, so dear friends, I think you can you can use your chat backs and give absolute. Yes, people are already reacting.
Yeah,
So
I can see that.
You
Yeah.
can make a
yes, yes, yes. Uh-huh.
Andre,
Yeah.
you could make a poll, and then you get the statistics. A poll. You could
Yeah.
offer.
Well, you are a computer person, so I'm not. So I can make you co-host and you can conduct it, Andrew. Do you want? Okay, but I think we have already yes, yes, yes. So at least 5 people said yes, Ari.
Yeah, I see that it shows up here. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
And somebody said they are too new, so they cannot, of course. But
Right.
of course. So this actually, I think, as so many have now commented the last month, and also now you, that this is a real thing, that which is of course in the forest. If one person walk a path, there is almost no change in the vegetation. But more and more walk it, then you can see it more and more clearly. So I think this is extremely important within anthroposophy today, because we have this problem. We should go into the spiritual world and there help, not just make our soul conscious or whatever. We should go there and do things, and this is a possibility, and it seems to get easier and easier. So this has occupied my mind very much lately, the last 2-3 weeks, that this is important. And of course, this will also cause a counterattack. But we have to stand in that and work with that when that comes. Is there anybody who have some comments on what I just tried to say? Because I know this is quite new thoughts, but not really. I mean, Steiner said the same, and when we do that in real life, when we go through a path, then it gets bigger, easier and easier. And that is so true, and that is what we need to do.
Yeah, we have 3 hands up. So is Magda, are you going to answer this question, or Bonnie? Magda? Magda Earth.
I can answer.
It's Marga.
Okay, Margaret.
I'm sorry.
No,
Marga.
I didn't. I was just raising my hand. Is I have experienced how much easier it is.
Yeah. That's what Ari asking. Yeah, go ahead. That's it. Okay. So who is next?
But other comments, because if it is like this, what do we do with it? And what does we have to do with it? And what does change in possibility demand from us? That are my questions. And that is to you as a group, because I cannot do anything then alone, because this is a social thing. Almost like Hari Salman say that the social is now the new mysteries.
Mm.
And the mystery is that we will then open this path into the spiritual through the door of the elements. And I will say something later about the effect also on the other doors. But first I would like to hear what you think this change commit us to do.
May I share?
Yes.
Andre?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was at the workshop in England in October or September of last year, And I was doing a lot of traveling. And to answer the question about, what are the repercussions of practicing merging and fading, I don't think I've ever had such a difficult time traveling in my whole life, and I've traveled quite a lot. So that was one thing, almost feeling like I was being attacked at every point. Also, more recently, I find it most productive to fade into the reflections of the sun on the ocean. And I live a couple of miles from the ocean here in Santa Cruz. And one day I wanted to go catch the sun as it was setting, because that's the best time, like maybe an hour before, to catch the reflections. And so I was driving, trying to find the right spot to sit, because it was a bit chilly. I was going to sit in my car and look out the window. And I could not find a parking place. I drove around in circles, and finally I found a place that was, perfect. It was facing the right direction. So I parked on the side of the road, and it was like parallel parking on one side on the right, and on the left side there was perpendicular parking, and it was kind of a narrow road, and on the left was the ocean. And just got there at the right time, ready to go, and a car backs into my car as I'm sitting there. So anyway, that's that part. But I wanted to ask about a particular experience that I had when I was walking along the ocean and, looking at the reflections of the sun in the water, sparkling, dancing movements, like when we faded into the knots of the floorboards in England and in Emerson, the movement all around. But then it changed. I think I faded maybe 20 minutes or so, maybe half an hour. The sparkling became, what's the word, perpendicular? Portals. But like there was one that was far away, and then there was another one closer to me, and then another one closer and closer. They were like portals at different distances over the water in the sparkling, reflection. And it was amazing. It was like, what is that? What are they doing? Are these different, I was just,
And then can I break in for a
yeah,
moment?
please, yes.
And then you did what we have been talking about, the first mistake, because when something is then offered to you like this, then you try to ask, what is this?
No, I asked
And then
what
you
is
put
this
concept.
after. I
Okay.
didn't ask during, I
Good.
asked afterwards.
Okay, good.
So there's more.
Yes, okay, then. Yes, go
So
on.
then I did open the space and asked Christ to enter. And things seemed different after that. I'm not sure I can explain how. But things seemed to change, and then yeah, that was it.
That's a comment, not a question, actually. Yes.
Yeah, that I just wanted to finish my
Yeah,
experience.
thank you. I thought at the moment that you stopped by putting the concepts on, but you did not, as I understand.
I don't think so, no.
Oh, good.
I just tried to experience these,
Yeah.
different forms that were appearing in this
Because
sparkling light.
often when you fade in, you can actually experience it as some sort of portal opening. Some sort of door. And Rudolf Steiner called it often door to the spiritual, and some say portal, and some say, yeah. So yes, this experience of an opening, a door, a portal, is quite common. And then you just fade in and continue.
Mhm.
So what stopped you? Where did it stop for you?
Well, after I, opened it and asked Christ in, I thought that was what I was supposed to do.
Okay,
And
so you stopped there, yeah.
yeah, and I just kept on walking along the beach.
What is important, I think, for all who practice this is to, when you have come to a certain point, quite many consider, okay, here I am, here it stops, here this was as far as I go today, or here I am. And that stops it at that point. We should try it, you should try, we should try. Then when you are at this point, not to stop, you just go on. Yes. That is my comment to your comment. Just go on. Don't say, okay, that's that, because you see this path into the spiritual world is very long. We stop often very soon and think, okay, yes.
I think I tried to go through the portals, but I
Yeah.
couldn't. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Okay,
just-
try again. Try again next time.
Better luck next time.
Better luck next time. I think it's very good. You come to that, then you know where to go. So I think it's perfect. It just take a longer time or more trials.
Yeah, I think the longer fading works for me.
Yeah. Good. At the beginning, I always did around half an hour when I was small, like around 10 or 15. Then it always took me half an hour to go in and then come out. Today, it is when training, it can go in 5 seconds, out 5 seconds. But at that time, it took half an hour. So I knew when I faded in, I was indisposed for half an hour. So when I was, they assigned me at some point in my life to be the guard of a bomb shelter, the civil defense in Norway. And then I said, well, if I is in a fading, then I am not really good guard for half an hour. So I was sent home.
Okay, thank you.
By the doctor. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So Dr. Penny and Ari, please let me know when it's right time to deliver some questions from online people.
Yeah, first I want to discuss this change, that it is easier to go in and what that demands from us. That is actually my focus now in the first part. So
Excellent.
I would like you all to focus more on that, thoughts on that.
Let's do it right after. So Dr. Penny Albert is next. Yeah, Penny? Unmute yourself, please.
Right. Hello, and hello, Ari. I can't see Ari.
Well, I must talk, then you see me.
Oh, now I can see you. Thank you.
But I can see you.
We didn't meet in Australia. I
Why
left you a
didn't we?
I left you a message. Did you get it?
I don't remember, it was.
Okay. I just couldn't afford to travel up and stay several nights overnight to do the workshops.
Oh,
And
so no problem.
so I left a message saying I could get up and down for the day on free public transport. And I asked them to give you that message when you arrived so I could come if you thought it was worth it. But I didn't hear.
No,
So
I haven't either.
well, communications didn't work. But I'm gathering it's not the end of the world. So picking up from here then, yes, I've experienced a distinct change since our last workshop, but easier is the last word I would ever have used. I've experienced it getting rapidly more intense and a cascading series of sort of mini catastrophes. And I think it's all just culminated. My mother died 24 hours ago. So it's been one thing after another, after another, after another. And it's resulted in something very different and I think very important opening up. I can save that till later if you want to get more feedback on the actual changes that people are experiencing.
Yeah, that is my main object just now, yes.
I've had an experience of Baba Yaga and I want to talk about that, but if you want to leave that till later on.
Yeah, we concentrate on the changes, so I need to hear that from you.
Yes. I had a sort of mini emotional collapse, I think is the best way to describe it, about 4 days ago. And I had an intuition that my mother was dying and her photo fell off the wall. So I think I've been in a state of continuous bodily connection. I have not been doing any formal practice because I felt if I did, it might tip everything over the edge. But I don't think I've been coming out of it properly at all. I had a massage and the masseur said to me that I was way up here above my body. And I have always had a little bit of trouble getting back into the body. There's some agonizing few seconds when you're fully conscious and you can't control the body, which is, for me, a really horrible situation where you fear for a moment that maybe you'll never be able to control it again, but then, the control comes back. And I think I might have a history of not quite getting back into the body after I've been doing some work and then being sort of semi-permanently a little bit out of it for 2 months. That's the best way I can describe it. So it's been very up and down and unstable. And I mean, I'm still here and I think I'm sane, but there's certainly been an intensification of energies, put it that way. So that's mine.
Thank you. Others?
Okay. Jordan? Yeah, go ahead.
Hello. Yes, I'd like to speak to it becoming a little easier. What I've noticed is actually it's been almost accidental that like if I go into nature and I sit by a creek and it's winter here, so there's snow, for instance, I went and sat near the creek and I just accidentally started fading, and it immediately took me to where I've been, which is at the Guardians, but I always ask to speak to the Guardians, and usually over the past few months, they always tell me to go speak to Anna. But this time when I accidentally faded, Merlin popped in, which I thought was, I had never experienced that before. And I just wanted to ask RA, if when we encounter, like if we're at the Guardians and they tell me to go, see Anna, or, another being comes in like Merlin, at that point, does he have any suggestions on what to do when we meet someone that comes in? Like, I don't know, I guess I just need some guidance on that, but to speak to it becoming easier, it definitely almost feels like it's just, in everyday occurrences, like if I'm walking out in nature, it's just like I begin to just do that automatically. If I'm in a state where, I'm calm enough and really connecting with nature is when it seems to happen the most.
Well, every time, and that if you have read my books, that happens all the time. Everybody say you should talk to him. You go there into the earth, also. So I always follow those advices because they are the guardians, or I rather call the teachers. So I do that, and I think you should do that then. That is my simple answer to that.
Just, okay, ask them, why they've appeared. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to also ask, with Anna, if you have any like advice or reasons, or have you had any experiences with her of why in particular she's here working with us, like why she's a prominent figure for us right now to work with?
I don't think she is here for especially us. I think she is sort of the mother of the universe. And I also work a lot with her and think about her. And I think she is for everybody.
Yeah.
So not just for us, but as we now have a means to travel in the spiritual world, in both the elemental and the etheric, then she is a natural meet. You will meet her. And that is why the teachers of Chartres had her as a dominating figure of the Northern Wall. Overlooking everybody who went in and out of Chartres. So I think she is an extremely important guide or guard or guardian, which everybody will meet and ask for guidance, of course. And that will, that I have seen more and more now, that all that is taught us in the spiritual world is individual. That is what we need to hear. It's not that the guardian of the threshold say exactly this or this or this. It might be very different. So you should just ask her, what shall I do? Be open, like you meet a very, very learned professor. To say, what do I lack in my mathematics? What do I lack in my physics? And just take that answer for correct.
Okay.
Mm.
And was it a city that you were talking about just now that she was a guardian of, or I didn't recognize what you were saying?
City? No, she is. Well, I met her when I went into the earth and came to the 7th layer.
Yes, sorry. The place
I
that
was on my way deeper, but there I met her, and then I chose another path.
maybe someone could put in the chat what our
Chartres Cathedral.
It's a Chartres Cathedral.
Yes.
Oh, the Chartres, yeah.
Thank you,
That-
sorry.
Yeah, Chartres Cathedral in France.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you
And
so
the
much.
whole northern wall there is dedicated to Anna. She is
Wow.
a statue there, and under her on both sides is a two huge wooden oak doors, one leading in, one leading out, and she sort of overlooks everything that goes in and out of the church. And that is exactly how it is in reality. She is letting everybody, those out of this universe, and she is letting those who is supposed to go into our universe. So these teachers of Chartres, they knew exactly what they did when they put her up there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Lois, are you Macaulay? Are you present here?
I'm here. And
Okay, go ahead. It's your time.
okay. What has changed, Ari, is, and I agree with someone else the last speaker who said spontaneous. And also through my hand. And it just spontaneously happened that I faded through my hand because my little bird was not feeling well, and it was on a blanket on my bed, and I just sort of cut my hand around it, and then I found myself fading through my hand. So that was new. But also what I experienced brings the other question that you asked, which was a question that I had for you. What are we to do with it? And where I ended up going through my hand was through an ancestral wound. And I experienced it as a horn, as a, almost like when you, on your foot, when it gets rubbed and it makes this little corn that goes deep in. And I found myself going into this horn, spiraling and unwrapping it and opening it. And I was going through family members and trying to go back through, and it was opening. So my question to you is, and this, what are we to do with this? Are we going to be healing back through
The generations.
generations? That was the word I was looking for. Is that something, because that would go to the future too, if we're healing back through the generations, we're healing what we're now calling a timeline. Is that something that we're supposed to be doing with this?
Yeah, well, this is very, very interesting that you say, because I have been saying that many times. When we go through the elemental world, there are two sort of purposes, two options. We can do something where we are. And in the third elemental realm, we can do what Steiner called hygienic occultism. And there we can go either through the generations, we can go through the father line, there are certain techniques I use there, or the mother line, or we can also go into this more spiritual line, but that is the healing process. And that we can do there when we are fading through the elemental world. When we come to the second elemental realm, there we can do mechanical occultism, influence the machine, the spirituality of machines, the etheric forces of the machines. And in the first realm, we can do the eugenic occultism. That means birth, death. But if we want to go meet the guardian of the threshold, then we should not stop doing this. Stop and do this. But not stopping doing this, but we should not stop on our travel and do these occultisms. We should continue. We should continue straight ahead till we reach the huge threshold of between the elemental world and the etheric world, where we meet the guardian of the threshold, which is, by the way, Vidar. I have in Holland, I have been discussing with several anthroposophists this with who Vidar is. And because they have been studying then Steiner, what he said about Vidar, Steiner, and also Prokofiev. Not what Prokofiev said, but what he reported Steiner said. And some places he said, Steiner said that Vidar, okay, he is the new guardian of the threshold, he is a new archangel, he is the sun archangel, he is the bringer of Christ, he is the guardian of the north, and he is the Norwegian folk spirit. So Prokofiev had done this proposal that he was sort of, there were several Vidars. So I was asked to ask him, so I did, and of course this is different aspects of his greatness. So he is both guardian of the threshold, he is both the archangel of the sun, the new archangel after or under Michael. He is also the guardian of the north, the bringer of Christianity, and additionally the Norwegian folk soul. He can be more things. So that is, you have to sort of decide when you go into either through your hands, through the bird, through your will, through your heart, through your thinking. You can fade in, but either way, you have to decide, shall I go and do something, or shall I just continue till I meet the guardian of the threshold, and after that stay there, go further into the spiritual world? It's two different things, sort of, which of course can be combined on the way.
Good. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. So, Nick.
Good day, Ara. Nice to see you again. Thank you so much for doing this.
I have seen you before.
A couple. To exactly what you are talking about right now, since the last video, and Jordan Reed had said that she just had to ask the mother and go down to visit her and ask if you could help. I knew I could do it, and then since then, I every 2 days I try my best to go down. Well, when I first went down, I just used my will and I just dropped down through the layers of the elemental world. I had asked permission first to go through down. Then once I got to the 7th layer, because you told me he was there, I immediately started weeping. The sadness was more intense than I'd experienced prior. And it felt foreign to me. So I really knew this was real. This was something that I did. And I wanted to be there. And when I was there, I asked, just like you said, I asked to help. I wanted to help because things need to get done. And she let me. And she let me. And I went down, and I didn't know what to do. That's going to be my question to you. I'd love to know some specifics of what you do to use your will and mind to push the gold from the east to the west. I have a technique that I've tried that I would share if you would like to hear it. Not maybe right now, but maybe later. But that happened right after, and I was doing it, but I couldn't feel if it was working. Is this just in my mind? Is it just imagination? And then on February 7th, that was the day. This is the day that I think you're referencing right now. Something came to me. It has something to do with accepting my guardian angels or people that were around that were trying to help me. Some love that was being come to me, and I believed it. And that made me believe in myself, and that then expanded more. I had to start talking to people, this chat specifically in the Telegram. I just wanted to encourage people to do. And like that is what I feel, and it's come stronger every day to do, as well as the river and water and doing and Christianizing water and keeping the rivers clean and making it beautiful for all. And that's become stronger every day since. And now I'm here talking about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to ask a question about this later, though, when that is appropriate.
Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, to ask now? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's what Ari said.
Oh, sorry, thank you. When I first started going down, I was just trying to imagine what to do and what was the best thing. And I didn't know it was going faster or slower, which layer it was. I figured that you guys are working on in the very middle, the lady from Dornoch, as some of your other people. I'm assuming they're in the middle. So I figured I want to go to the 10th layer where there might be less people working. And I started just by moving balls of gold. I'd come in, I just Christianize some gold, and I just push it away to the west. I just kept on doing that. It didn't feel as like efficient, and I couldn't do it while I wasn't there. So I wanted to do something that could still be functioning when I'm not fully faded. So I came up with the idea of a machine, a water vest, or a gold wheel, we'll call it. After asking, I go down. I then use what I like to think is the cosmic energy through my crown to become immense. Like I'm so big down in this world that I can do whatever I wish. I built this giant gold water wheel that just keeps going around. It's kind of attached to the ninth layer wall, and just keeps spinning around. I made a little something here. I tried to make a visualization, but it just keeps spinning around and around like this. It's perfectly weighted. The gears are all nice. So it always spins. And then I didn't think it was going fast enough because I couldn't feel anything. So I wanted more. So then I came up with a music box gear, which I also have, the concept of winding a music box was enough to so now I go down and I wind my music box so it sets for 48 hours and my wheel spins, and I think about it during the day and I keep feeling it spinning, and I just keep the active living thought of it alive, knowing that it is doing good, knowing that it is, I believe, something Anna asked me to do. She hasn't told me it's bad yet, so I just wanted to share this. And it's all driven through my will and imagination. When I'm there, like this is literally what I do. Like I close my eyes, like I'm literally winding this massive gear, and it's all perfectly geared. So one little turn can make this massive wheel, which is the size of Southern Ontario when I'm down there. Like I've made it so big that it touches all the Great Lakes. And I'm also a mountain when I do it, just to help give that kind of energy, is what I tell myself. And I really feel I've been feeling positive. I felt really the need to share this right now. So if this is not right, please tell me, and I would love to hear any more efficient things to help this process.
Well, it's
Thank you.
interesting to hear you because apart from you have a little more vivid imagination than I have, but we are doing essentially the same thing. I have just written about that in a new book I'm writing on, and I have been doing this, going down to about that area and trying to do what you so vividly described, but I do it more with my hands. You have this possibility, or you have the possibility of going down the evil earth to the 6th layer and there directly counteract the iron. And I was so lucky, actually, on the Philippines. They took me to a special volcano called Tal. about 1 hour south of Manila. And when I came there, the owner of that area said that there had been several prominent anthroposophists from Dornach visiting this special volcano and drawing it again and again and again. And that I found quite interesting. Why should leaders from Dornach visit this volcano in the Philippines and drawing it? So I have tried to go through several volcanoes in the world. In Iceland, it is open down to the 4th layer. In Vesuvius, I managed to come to the 5th layer. But in this active volcano, which they said was the most active volcano in the Philippines, I managed to come down to the 6th layer. And I think that is what these anthroposophic leaders from Dornach had some knowledge about. So I went down there, and there I tried directly to counteract the movement of the iron. So there's, in my knowledge now, it's 2 ways, either the 6th layer or the 10th, 11th of the good earth. Yeah, that was just a comment to what you said.
That was my second part of this question, is that because let's battle this from 2 fronts, like let's not just deal the gold.
Yeah.
What I was doing though, I didn't realize I had to go through the evil. I pop up when I'm going back to my body after saying goodbye to Anna, after doing my work.
Yeah.
I've been just popping up and putting a quick dam up. I keep a little wave so it can flow. And I tell the iron, stay here, go back to the west. You don't need to flow far. But when I do this in a bath that is Christianized, and when I'm sitting in it, this is all easier, and I feel like I can quench iron. I can quench it to stop it. I say it, and out loud as well.
But we'll leave it with that. So I just described these 2 possibilities.
Is that wrong though? I don't need to do that. If that is wrong, I do not need to do that.
No, you can do both, but it's easier to do what you described.
Excellent. Thank you.
I needed actually a volcano to get down to the 6th. And, this portal down through this volcano on the Philippines, that is also used by the black magicians there, which there are many of in the Philippines. But let us leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, R. I appreciate so much.
Thank you much. Mary is next. Mary Burton.
Hi. I just thought I would give a perspective of how things have changed for someone that's only been doing it a couple of months. First, I struggled to fade into anything. I've never been able to do it with a candle or anything. I have managed with the sky and or just looking at a white pillow. But the other day I was, and I don't sort of see anything except for just sort of swarming black things or little white comet things in the sky, things like that. I don't actually see anything other than that. But the other day I was at the osteopath and I was on a massage table with my head down. I just automatically just faded into the carpet, which was quite strange. All the carpet just started moving and zipping around, and yeah, so that was definitely unexpected. And since then I've felt quite different in my body, like I couldn't feel the energy flow through my body quite easily. So, and I guess my mood has been a bit all over the place, but I've been doing a fair bit of sort of personal growth as well, so I kind of put it down to that as well. Yeah, so they were my experiences. Just wondering, yeah, I guess I just wondering, am I stopping myself? I mean, I keep hearing you say, keep going, moving forward, and I try not to attach any thoughts to things. So yeah, I guess just wanting some encouragement.
Yeah, thoughts, especially concepts that you must avoid. That seems to stop everything. So yes, when you are in such an experience, then just go into it again, deeper, and then you see it will change, and then it comes like layer after layer after layer. That's quite important, and then you can continue if you can, because almost everybody put on then a concept and say, oh, what is that? Is that an eye? Is that a movement? Is that, yes. So we all do that mistake. It seems impossible to not.
And I guess the thing that has changed lately is I'm starting to see different colors as well. So that's a new thing just in the last couple of days.
Yeah. It is movement, it is colors, the world around gets sort of transparent or even darker, and then you can go into this portal or door or what you call it. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Just continue.
Thank you very much. So Diane. Diane, please unmute your machine.
Yeah, I was trying. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Ara. I've been listening the last week or so, and I would like to comment about the question about the pushback.
About the
pushback.
Pushback, yeah.
You said what kind of pushback is going to come, and just refer back to your comment that many people, or not many people, could go the way that Rudolf Steiner was describing in 24, and that if you take these lectures called die Weihnachtstagung zur Begründung der allgemeinen anthroposophischen Gesellschaft, also the Foundation Stone lectures for the foundation of the Anthroposophical Society, and you can find almost every other page where Rudolf Steiner talks about the personal relationships. He says this is not going to be a, what do you call it, the Vorstand, also the board. It's not going to be a traditional one. It's going to be an interest board where people are interested in what's going on with the others in the society. And you can find all these comments made by him again and again and again. Interest for the other people, enthusiasm for what people are doing in the society, and so on. And if you ask me, especially when you think about some articles have been in Europaea about Bruno Kruger, who worked very hard for the question of the threefold society. And he was ignored, unfortunately, by the anthroposophists in Berlin, in Stuttgart, in Dornap. Everywhere he went, he was kind of ignored and excluded from their activities. And I think that the pushback will be much less if people really realize that the whole thing is about the society and how we work together, not just in the Anthroposophical Society or in the anthroposophical work, but in the society as a whole. So my question to you, because I give lectures and seminars about this threefold society thing, and I agree with that statement you said about what Solomon said, this is the new mysterium. This is the new mystery place, is the social life and the social work. How does this relate to the demons? Of course, there's things from Rudolf Steiner. The demons weave this social life. We live in it. It's like the social life is the elemental forces between the people, weaving in the spheres of the cultural life, the rights, the life of the rights, and the life of the production, the manufacturing. They weave our connections. And it's full of demons. It's just completely demonized. It's totally demonized. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So
So
this is what I think one has to do for the pushback, you're saying, you know, be aware and start to work in this whole sphere. Don't ignore the threefold.
That is what you can do, is to Christianize these elemental beings.
Mm.
And that change the effect, and that spreads. But to Christianize them, you have to, in a way, observe them.
Mm.
So, and to observe them, you have to fade. Merge into the elemental world. There, what we're practicing there, you can see the elemental beings, oh, a society, oh, a relationship, oh, a family, oh, yeah, whatever, community. And you will observe then, when you see them, that they are demonized, they are Luciferic, Ahrimanic, Asuric. They are not Christianized. If you then Christianize these elemental beings, you change their behavior totally. And one of the laws in the elemental world is that these demons, as you said, because I've written several books about demons and healing, and I worked with demons quite much. They always translocate. They can move. They go to other places. They avoid you. But if you Christianize them, they do not translocate. And then this effect of the Christianization is spreading. That is what we can do. You think?
Well, of course, I think you're correct. But on the other hand, I think also we need to go into this, let's call it the boring lectures and things that Rudolf Steiner gave, really maybe hundreds of, and writings about the threefold, and figure out, maybe it would be a great help if we can all fade. But even if we can't exactly fade into it in the way you're describing, realize that how to Christianize these spheres through starting to transform this world of the social life. And then we can transform it through like just the plain old common sense on the first level, and it will become an area that will not demonize us so entirely through our entire lives that we have difficulties fading and doing all these things. We have to work from that way as well.
Yes.
To be able to promote the work you're doing.
But now I will say something. Now
I
will say something that you won't like.
What?
Now I will say something that you probably will not like to hear, and that is a very distinct teaching from Vidar, is that the threefoldness is transforming into a fourfoldness. I remember first time I met that idea was Otto Wolff, who was in Norway to teach anthroposophic doctors. And then that was 30 years ago, and he said, we have to get away from this threefoldness in the human body. It doesn't work anymore. And I was in shock, but I had already thought it, so I followed it. And one very important teaching by Vidar is that both the body and the senses and the soul and the society is working toward a fourfoldness, so that a threefoldness will be more and more in the past.
And the fourth element, or the fourth sphere, is what did Otto think, and what do you think?
thinking, feeling, willing. It's a threefold, if I take that one. And then Vidar said that the fourth, which is developing now, has no name yet, but he called it time, karma, Christ.
Mhm.
And this also opens a new portal. Steiner said there are 3 doors into the spiritual world: the door of the elements, the door of the death, and the door of the sun. And one time he mentioned there is also going to be a 4th door, which will be opened by Christ when from 1930 on. And that I didn't know, he said, but I was starting a few months ago to write a new book, which is called The 4th Door. And then somebody sent me a quote from Steiner who said exactly this will be the 4th door, and that is reliant on Christ. So this ability of the soul, time, karma, Christ, is opening also a 4th door, which I call the door of the light, which is governed by Christ. And that is a fourfoldness, both in the doors of the spiritual world, of the soul, of ourself, and also in society. Well, it's
no reason not to like it.
we're not going to discuss that here, but this is a very, very important teaching of Vidar. The threefoldness is going into a fourfoldness, just as Otto Wolff actually said 30 years ago. But he said it in private, not in writing. Okay.
Okay, so thank you so much. So next person is Nancy Macmillan. Nancy?
Hello. Trying to see Ari, maybe Ari needs to speak. Hi.
Hi. No, just
there you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. So I do things pretty slowly because it feels like there's such a big reaction often with my fading, even though I feel I'm fading through maybe a combination of my eyes and my heart. And I'm meeting how to do that each time in sort of an individual way, I guess. Certain things keep repeating in terms of meeting the different things that we've talked about before. And so I'm getting a little bit of a sense of that landscape. More recently, it feels like I'm being, the feeling of being accompanied by something. And maybe my visuals are not very good, so I'm not really able to visualize it, but it's a felt sense of a presence accompanying me when I'm on this traveling. And when I'm trying to look a little more carefully, that's when the feeling of this really big head came. And so that kind of, I had no idea what that was. I was just keeping with that, but then it kind of came into more of a body full presence. And as I shift towards my heart, it often moves to this very physical feeling of my chest expanding, a sort of a muscular kind of feeling. So anyway, these are all experiences. And then sometimes the words will come, something like, this is the point of what we're doing. This is about freedom. That was the words that that came. The point of this is freedom. And then if I'm trying to keep moving, at one point there was this letting go. I'm trying to let go more at the edge of that. And it was like a time warp of just a zoom of consciousness that felt like a travel to somewhere else. But very hard to hold that because it felt new or different. And I can't really see there, but it's a feeling of bigness. so at some point I come back to out from that place. And then I'm just so filled with so much energy. It's like a very heightened energy, a euphoric type of energy. And then I have to pay attention to the grounding of myself, and this echoes a few people's conversations about how to come back. So I remember that night just sitting by the fire and really tending the fire and knitting or something, and that felt like I was coming back in. But then that night I certainly had dreams of meeting very difficult beings, demon-like beings. And one from this liminal place of half wake and half not, a being almost from the fire with a lot of cloudy, dark, rolling smoke covering the face. And so I leaned in to Christianize that being.
Yes, what happened?
That was very cool. The smoke, the beard, cloudy smoke lifted like it was being a facelift, and like a mask was being lifted. And I could see just a faint sense of pink skin underneath. That was the moment, yeah. So that's a bit of a question, is when we get these feelings of maybe counterattack, as you say, because I know another time it was like when I left the meditation, I felt like I was shoved. And another time I woke up and my shoulders were all messed up again. And so it felt like there's an irritation that comes into me, either emotionally or physically. So maybe can we then move to Christianize the sense of being counterattacked, or the poltergeist? And
That is the weapon we have. Also, when we go through the elemental realms, we go through the realms of the adversarials, of evil. And I must remind everybody that Steiner said, in the future, to get to Christ, we have to go through the realms of evil. We will do that, but we have then the Christ. We have Christ, and we can Christianize the elemental beings, and that is our duty. That is one of our duties. As I said, passing through the elemental world, well, if we want just to pass it and get to the threshold and meet the guardian and go on, that is one thing, but we have also a work to do in the elemental world. We have a work to do, like Steiner say in The Iron Necessity of the Time, that Andrew Linnell very often referred to, that there is a necessity for our work in the elemental world, and that is to deal with or conquer or master the three occultisms, which is the occultism of the hygienic, the mechanic, and the eugenic, which I personally think we can only do if we Christianize the elemental beings of these realms. And when we do that, then we can do these occultisms. If we don't, we cannot do that. So that is our, we will do on the path, because we will meet evil. And if we are very easily scared, of course, like you said, you met this demon with a beard and whatever, it could be scary. And fear is one of our greatest enemies on this path. So then we must Christianize these elemental beings, and by that bring salvation into the elemental world and open the path for us and others, and also doing the first steps on the possibility of the three occultisms. And I will also add at this point, because I see time is also running, that listen to you now. I mean, listening to you the first 6 or 7 times was like being in a kindergarten. Don't take me wrong, but now it is almost like you have graduated. It's so much more. All that I've heard is actually on now on an individual path. It is opening. I am very excited about what I heard today. In the as a first 6, 7, I don't really know where we are, but it was sort of very fundamental. 2 + 2 is 4, and I repeated 2 + 2 is 4. 2 + 2 is 4. Listen now, 8 - 4 is 4. It was like going on like that. Now it is really a discussion, bringing ideas, bringing aspects of this elemental world. So my question in the beginning, is it now easier to go on this path? I don't have to ask that because I hear from what you say. It is. So thank you, everybody. That is very nice for me to hear.
Great.
Thank you.
Can I just add to that as the question of how to further this work? I work in different small groups working towards, intentions or prayerful things. And I think I mentioned this last time, can we mobilize this more in a group setting? We're doing this in our individual ways, but is there a group practice that we can develop?
Yeah, well, I'm I'm very old-fashioned, so in my mind, the groups is when 4 or 5 people meet, and like that. So now we are a group that is all around the world. There are people here from the whole world, I guess. Probably both Australia and Europe and England, Germany, America, Canada. How do we form a group? Because there is the space is not important when you are working in the elemental world. So it should be fully possible.
Mm-hmm.
And time is not that important either. So just that we meet like this, it's now 68 of us being here in this group, and discussing these experiences and dealing with the same problematics and the same sort of ideological foundation. I think that makes us a group. And I think that makes it easier for everyone. We are helping each other to walk this path. And the more who walk this path, one walk on the little left side, one walk a little right side, one walk a little up, down. We do our individual, but still it makes this road better and better. So I'm very happy with this today's session. I think we are a group. That is the answer.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Anach Cerebrnik.
Thank you. Hello, Ari.
Hi.
It's good to see you. I started with you in the Calgary with the veterinarians.
Oh yes.
And so I've been, doing the middle point, opening the middle point for people and for animals.
Can I first explain to everybody what we did in Calgary?
Yes, yes.
And also the feedback I got from
Julie.
Julie. We had a little more than a year ago, we had a workshop of Christianizing the elemental being of disease in dogs. Julie Schell is a clinician in Calgary, have a small animal clinic. And she is so dedicated that she followed. So in every dog, we did not treat the disease. we treated either in the middle or in 90 degrees. That means we did not treat, let's say it was a kidney problem, we don't treat the kidney. We go through then the 90-degree gallbladder or the middle. So that means totally non-school medicine, really. And then, as I told you, if you treat a disease either with school medicine, with homeopathics, with acupuncture, and so on, then you usually translocate the elemental being of the disease. And then this will hurt others. It goes to others in the family or in the neighborhood or something. But if we then Christianize these elemental beings, it will not hurt others. It will do the opposite. It will help others. And now I got just a few weeks before I went on my Asian tour, so that means 4, 5, 6 weeks ago about, I got a mail from Julie Schell, and she had followed every patient during a year. And she said it is amazing. They have all gotten better or cured. And in addition, several of the owners have been healed from cancer. Yeah, that was just to explain to everybody the meaning of Calgary.
Yeah. So yeah, so I've been doing the middle point and treating the 90 degree for many people, but there was like a doubt, still like doubt, is this really making a difference? And there's like a discouraging, and I've also done psilocybin, psychedelic mushrooms, and then when I go in there, all of a sudden I found myself going into the different body parts and opening the middle point in different body parts where I could see them, the middle. So that encouraged me to get back into this path. And then in one of the journeys, I heard Vidar, and he talked to me. And so that's when I really got your last book of Merging and Fading. And I started watching all these videos and starting to practice. So just like I got called back to really disciplining myself back into like really understanding merging and fading. And I've been practicing every day, for the last month. And just that's kind of like how I felt. And I felt encouraged to really go back and share this work with people, with lay people, just to offer it more as a healing. So just people get Christianized and they're elementals. And I guess my question is, it's going a little back to the fundamentals, but because I'm just kind of like practicing this, the fading and merging. I don't know if I'm doing it too hard, but I have the coffee with the sugar, and I fade, and all of a sudden like my eyelids go a little down, so it gets like almost dark, but I can still see the coffee. And then it just kind of like fades and you just see blurry. And I feel all this energy coming from my feet all the way through the column. And then I feel this pull here. And I sometimes I see a little figure or something. And I just keep pushing. And I keep like, I throw my energy towards it. And I keep going at it. And sometimes I feel like it's almost like the eyelids are going like this, like really, really fast. And then I just feel like a pull, like it's pulling me back, like my, so I don't know if I'm forcing it too much. I know this is new, so I don't know if I'm on the right path, or if I'm just forcing it, or if there's.
Well, it was a very heavy description. Maybe you are forcing a little. But you are maybe a much more forcing type. I think I would do it more calmly. But we are different, so who am I to say that? Who am I to say that?
Yeah, but the idea that like the eyelids kind of close, so there's like a black screen in front of me, and then there's a little bit, and that's where I start to see the things. Is that
you should hold the eyes open. That is important.
Like fully open, full open.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Hold them open and then merge. And then it's darker and in the circumferences. And then you start to see a movement in this middle.
Okay. So maybe, maybe I was
after this, and then you go through the movement, and you see an eye, you go through the eye, then you see a face.
Okay.
And then you are very far into the third realm of the elemental world.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Don't take it too fast. Take your time.
Yeah. Got it.
And drop the psilocybin, I guess.
Okay.
Try to do it without.
Yeah.
It might help at certain points, I guess, but I'm not really fond of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Justina?
Yes, hi.
Hi. Excellent.
So I would like to say that this last month has also been very much more visual. And recently, when I've placed my hands on a patient's body in a very specific place, it allows me to fade in further and faster. And then I start to see crystal like water or dark shadows. And I'm wondering if I am in their middle point or if I'm seeing the middle point of the patient themselves. Like, what is this significance of this point that I'm touching?
Oh, now you come to a very medical question, actually. And I can only describe how I do that. When I use that technique to look into a patient, I fade out, and then I sort of scan through the whole body. I don't go into a certain point. I scan through it, and then I observe where there is trauma.
Yeah.
And then I say, okay, here's a problem with that organ or that muscle or that bone.
So when I see, let's say a darker shadow, like a movement, and there's a being there, is it okay to go to that being directly, or is that going to be moving him?
Then you can go into that being and open the middle and crystallize it.
Okay.
And then you totally change the effect or the pathological effect that being have. Yes.
Okay.
But you go in, you fade, but not in through a specific point. You can fade wherever you want, and then you sort of scan. It's almost like a magnetic MRI. You scan, you make incisions, and then you very clearly see where there is some problems. I usually see it as stagnant blood, these pathological elemental beings, or a shadow.
A shadow.
Yeah, coagulating blood, stagnant blood, shadow. It is not life. It doesn't stream like life. And that is the problem. There is the pathology of that patient.
Okay.
And then you can go in with whatever or massage, or you can go in other ways and then see what is the specific problem.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Elizabeth?
Hello. I just wanted to say, you said it was so exciting, this conversation, this meeting, but I think it's very exciting what you said about the threefoldness turning into the fourfoldness. It just seems so important, and I feel very excited about it. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's it? Yeah, yeah, okay. So can we take another question, Ari?
Yeah.
Monique is next.
Hello. I have a question. It came to me, I've been reading your books and doing these meditation for just a few months now. And recently, this past week, while I was doing this question came. I don't know if that's good or not, but it hasn't left me. And the question is, well, for me, the experience recently when I was doing the elemental meditation, I felt this feminine energy, like a feminine energy when I was looking at the candle. And when I was younger, I had a very intense encounter with this being that was almost like just almost a pure light, but it was a feminine energy. And that's how I found anthroposophy when I was 19, because then I wanted to find out, what was this? I just had this question. And again, I'm probably getting lost in this third elemental, but my question that came up this time was, how is Anna connected with Sophia? Is there a connection there? That's my question.
You know, Anna is connected to everything that exists in our universe. She is the mother of all. Even Maria and Jesus, and she's brought everything into this universe. So in my mind, she is connected like a mother to all her children. So, and of course, Sophia and Jesus and Maria and Joseph and even the thrones, the seraphim, the cherubim. Yes. So that's my answer to that.
Okay, thank you.
But she is not the same as Sophia. Anna is Anna. She is the mother of all, the portal through which everything has come into this universe. And when I say universe, it is what we call the universe. That is our bubble. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And could a guardian of a threshold be more of a Sophia, or that's not what?
Well, you have 4 doors into the spiritual world: the door of the sun, the door of the elements, the door of death, and the door of light. And there are different guardians of these different doors. And I am sure also that these guardians may present themselves differently to different. So you might experience Sophia as at least part of the guardian.
Okay, thank you. Anthony, I apologize. So here is Barbara M.V. Scott trying to raise a hand with no success. Barbara, can you hear me? Barbara.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted
Okay.
now.
Yes, you, Barbara. Excellent. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello all. Hello, Ari. I'm new here. I'm a biodynamic practitioner, and I've been researching Lightroot for many years now. And I was, for about the past 3 years, I was quite ill. It started with dental surgery, and then it went into long COVID, and then Lyme illness. And I felt like during the Lyme, I felt like all I looked at was fear, doubt, and hatred.
Yeah.
And the whole time. And I freaked out about it when I felt those things. And then I finally just got to the place where I realized that my thinking was all wrong and not helping me at all. And I made great effort to sort of reinterpret and get to faith, love, and hope, and have been doing so. And it seems like it's easier and easier all the time. I live, chop wood, carry water. There's no electricity. And I have a practice every morning called Agnihotra. And I have a prayer that I say in the morning, which includes "in the love of Jesus Christ." And it just feels like everything is flowing. Everything's okay. And I haven't had any kickback. Any kickback that I get will be in personal relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing really serious. But where the kickback is physically. And it's I feel in some ways that I'm almost in an Atlantean vapor at times. Even the sleeping has been like that. It's now at the place where I'm tired all the time. I could sleep in the drop of a hat. But my dad, it's in the paternal line. And when I was born, I had pneumonia and then bronchitis very seriously until I was 12. And my father, when he was in his 20s, was in the Navy, and during the war, he was on the bridge and he took mustard gas. So I have this ongoing cough and, expelling from the lungs. How do I Christianize that whole thing in terms?
I don't think, I think that is so complicated. If you are not used to Christianize elemental beings, it's very difficult to start with yourself. So then you need help for that.
Okay, so I do have a really good practitioner, but and he describes it as a miasm.
That's a name, yes. That's a name that homeopaths often use.
So it's very hard to do it on yourself.
It is very hard to do anything in the beginning on yourself, yes.
Can I do it on my father?
If you can see them, I mean, you ask me. I cannot tell what you can do.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like you ask me, can I learn to play the fiddle? I don't know. Maybe you can.
So just keep working with
If you go into the elemental world and there observe elemental beings, then you can Christianize them. But if you cannot go into the elemental world, then it's difficult to Christianize them. And the most difficult is to start with yourself.
Right. So I can go into the elemental world, which is what I do in biodynamic agriculture.
Good, then you can do it.
Okay. Could you describe the process briefly of the Christianizing? You open up the middle.
You have first you have to observe an elemental being in some way, hearing, seeing, smelling, somehow feeling an elemental. Yeah. Then you have to find the middle of it. And then you have to sort of open the middle with your hands, like the statue of Christ and between Lucifer and Ahriman. You push the Luciferic up, the Ahrimanic down. And then you invite Christ into the middle.
Okay.
Very shortly said.
Okay, I'll continue to do that.
Yeah. And then it all changes. The elemental being changes. The elemental being becomes moralized. That brings moral into the elemental world.
Right. You've answered a question that I had for a long time. I always heard that the elemental beings have no morality.
Yeah.
And
But
now I know why. They used to years ago, right?
Well, maybe 1,000,000 years ago or something, yes.
Okay.
But we have to bring moral into the elemental world, and that is done by bringing Christ. Christ is the moral force.
Uh-huh. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, Anthony. Anthony, hello.
Oh, hello, Ari. Again.
Oh, again. Hi.
Hello. If I may go back to your comments on the iron in the Philippines.
Yes.
I'll make it brief, and I don't know, there's a little scattered, some notes that I have here. I haven't done the work as diligently as I should have over the last month, but the last few days I've been focusing in on the quality of iron in the earth, and especially in our time, and the importance of it.
Yes.
Because it is what drives us, essentially, the iron. And so I thought, okay, Michael and the sword that he has, that's cosmic iron. We can imagine it as purified Christian iron.
Yes.
This Christianized iron. And that's our task now, to Christianize the iron. But it's one of the most difficult tasks.
Yes.
Because Mars does not want to change very readily.
No.
And we know that Christian Rosenkreuz had asked the Buddha, Gautama Buddha, to go to Mars and work with Mars and transform it. So it's very interesting. And also, I think the last time I mentioned that the work that I've done in filming and traveling to different places, and I had a magnetized piece of iron. You can see that.
Yes.
You know how magnetic this is. And
Yes.
so that's a form. And this, I went into a volcano there where this came from.
Where was that?
It's the northern part of Baffin Island.
Okay.
Baffin Island in northern Canada in the Arctic, and it's not far from where the magnetic north used to be, now that it's traveling.
Yes, I know Baffin. Yeah.
So I just, in the thought process, iron is in our blood.
Yes.
Is it not? And I'm thinking of the black magicians and their need to control humanity. So if you can control the iron in the blood, you can wreak havoc, for one thing, to humanity. And control it. And I'm thinking that perhaps that's part of their work to move into that aspect. And also, I'm not so sure, but there's a lot of talk of, the coming transhumanists, and the ability. And Steiner said it would come sooner or later, but it would be a matter of how it's going to be used.
Yes.
Used for the good or evil. And so I'm thinking that that's part, because our blood is essentially made up of a lot of iron, quite a bit. Also, the fact that iron, when it oxidizes, is red, and rust is red. So it has this connection to the blood. And so what I've been getting to, I've been doing some meditation with the this one I just showed you, the iron piece. And it's been quite difficult. I'm just now, as you mentioned at the beginning, it takes a lot less time to go into it. It's a very heavy piece. You know, this piece is very heavy. And but now when I hold it, it almost disappears within 2-3 minutes. That is,
It's easier,
heaviness
yes.
disappears, and I can go into more of an experience, but I don't go far with it. And the last one I had was a lot of color. We know that that's one of the stages, but the colors were magnificent. There were blues and purples and very alive and very strong and bright, you know. So that was a little bit of progress. And I'm going to follow that through and see where that might take me.
Yes.
So what else do I have here? The and you mentioned about forming a group that can follow through with what we've learned so far. And then I was thinking of D.N. Dunlop at the time of electricity, when Tesla gave the wherewithal for the first electrical turbines to be built in Niagara Falls in the United States. D.N. Dunlop took a real interest in that because he wanted to guide the development of electricity, control it in a good way. And even today, there's the World Energy Council, which he started back at the turn of the century, last century. So, and there are people that in the world, obviously, that are interested in not wreaking havoc with a lot of these things that have been developed. So I guess what I'm getting at is that the time is right now. The time is right to work together. It's Harry, you brought up Harry earlier. The world is our mystery center. And as groups that we are in our towns or everywhere else, we can develop these mystery centers and begin the process of change. It's what I feel at the moment. So iron, to go back again, when we're tired, the tiredness that was mentioned, often it's the lack of iron that makes us tired, which means that we lose consciousness. So without the iron in our body, we can actually, in a sense, lose consciousness. And the usefulness, iron can be useful or demonic because we can build bridges, buildings, transportation system, etc. On the other side, we can build missiles, tanks, and machine guns. These are the two aspects of iron. And our work needs to be, towards Christianizing the iron in general on the earth. Anyway,
that is very important that we try to do. Like the two paths that I know, one is through the evil, that is the volcano down to the 6th, or through the gold from the 10th, 11th layer. But there are maybe other possibilities too. But those two I work with personally.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Yes, likewise. Always.
Thank you much. Dr. Penny Albert, again.
Hello again. I'd like to talk about Baba Yaga this time. 2 workshops. Yes, Andre, I can see you're smiling. 2 workshops ago, I described going through an experience of shuddering in the body, centered in the heart, and I still can't see Are. Is Are there?
Yeah.
Oh, now I can see you, yes. So 2 workshops ago, I was shuddering in the heart region. And then just after the last workshop, I came across by accident something about Baba Yaga, which jumped out at me. That's what I came across, and there's a picture. Now, I gather that this is taking me right into the world of Slavic myth, folklore, and elemental beings. So I did some research on Wikipedia, and I discovered that there are accounts of Baba Yaga through all the different peoples of the Slavic world, and it gave short accounts of the different ways that the different ethnic groups represent her. And then when I came to the Serbian account, there was a description of the shuddering. So immediately linked my experience of shuddering to this entity. And I wondered if you could tell me any more about, you've not yourself.
No, sorry, I have no idea about, I have never investigated this.
Okay, well, I had a strong sense that this is where I'm going and it's going to be important and there's something opening up.
Then you can tell us about that next time.
Yes, indeed. Now, a second question. Have you had any experience of Nerthus?
Or what?
Nerthus Niord, in the Atlantean mother goddess?
Nerthus, yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
Oh,
no,
Nerthus, you say, yeah.
It's just a pronunciation I didn't recognize.
Yeah.
No, I cannot tell you anything about that either, sorry.
Oh dear.
Oh.
That's the other place I want to go. Well, okay, well, I'll keep going with both of those lines of inquiry because they're linking up the Nordic world and the Slavic world, particularly Ukraine. And I think there's going to be work for me in that direction. And I think it might be connected with the first elemental realm. So I wondered, 2 or 3 workshops ago, you said you were going to tell us more when we were ready about the second and the first realms. And would we have a moment today for you to tell us a bit more about the first realm? And
you are not ready. You are not ready. We are now more or less deep into the third.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not time to discuss that in the workshop.
The first 6, 7 workshops was, or sort of just getting over the threshold to the third. Now it is very much into the third, but not yet the second and not yet the first. Some are at the threshold, but not the most.
Right.
So we wait
but
with that.
For myself personally, to continue where I feel I'm at, or?
Yeah, you just continue, and when you reach the threshold, you will meet the guardian, and then you will get education.
But you said at the beginning of this workshop that you were going to talk more about the second and third realms at the end of this workshop.
Well, it's not, it has went slower than I thought. So now I hope maybe it speeds up.
Okay, sorry.
I try to comment when I see where the different people are. So I try to comment on that level. And when I have a reason to talk about it, I will, but I have not had that reason yet.
Okay. I've got a further question. I'm confused about when I'm properly in one of the elemental realms and when I'm looking at it, but I'm not in it. And when I'm looking at it, I'm aware that I'm here. And what I'm seeing is there, and it's like a movie screen, and it's moving and changing, but I'm looking at it. But then at other times I'm inside it, and they don't seem to be the same thing. Could you comment there?
Yeah, there I can comment, and that is exactly how I also experience it. Sometimes I look at it, and sometimes I'm in it.
Right.
And if I'm in it, then I can do a work there. If I'm just look at it, I am not, well, you can do something, but not as effective.
Ah, but they're both actual, real experiences.
Yes, absolutely.
They're not
Absolutely.
just abstract in the head.
No, and that differs. Actually, you are in a way, you can say that in these levels of clairvoyance or spiritual experience, you have the imagination, then you look at it. Imagination, then you have the inspiration, then you are sort of halfway observing, halfway in, and then you come to the intuition, then you are in. And this might change actually from time to time, and also on your travel.
That's very helpful, linking it to imagination, inspiration, and intuition. That
Yes.
makes a great deal of sense. Thank you. And I am a researcher by nature, and I've made myself a golden rule, since you keep exhorting us not to put concept onto percept too quickly.
Yeah.
I have a golden rule, which I never break now, which is that I go in, I have the experience, and I strictly do not think anything at all about it until I'm clearly out and it's afterwards. And then I give myself free go, and I get into the books and online, and or I try to put concepts around it, but deliberately, because I think we're going to need new concepts, because so many of the existing ones are so out of date and having a negative effect.
Yeah,
I have a particular bugbear with use of the word illusion for the physical plane, because that was a poor translation from the Sanskrit anyway, and it was done by Victorians with a particular sort of morality. And illusion in the English language just carries a totally negative vibe. And given that we're going through a planet that we're destroying, and we've got climate change, and it is so crucial to respect this earth, which gives us life, I would really much prefer to talk about relative realities rather than pure illusion for this plane, because I feel it takes away the value of the physical world, which is a real reality, but it's relative. So I wanted to just offer that.
I see your point. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Penny.
I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, Andre is next.
Hello, Ari, and everybody else who's here. My question is, or perhaps I'm asking for some maybe clarity around the feminine in this whole sphere that we're entering with you here. And I think it was in your very first Zoom that you mentioned Anna, and you also mentioned the earth as the feminine mysteries. And that's what initially enticed me to go here. And a couple other women, 2 or 3, I think in this session, have brought up that. And last session, when I think we were invited to send in questions through Andre, that was essentially my question. Is it seems that there is, at least in the circles that I have been traveling in the last several years, there seems to be a real uprising. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean maybe perhaps more of a presence of a divine feminine coming through at this point. And, you know, in my upbringing, I have always thought, through my Catholic upbringing, I have always thought that, you know, there was just the male Trinity and God the Father, the Son, you know, primarily a male presence through the angelic realm and everywhere else, really. And so to come across Anna, who I had never actually heard of before, is very heartening. So I'm not really sure if I'm asking a question here or you know, if I'm just inviting you to comment maybe further about this divine feminine presence that I feel is more relevant and important than we typically hear about.
Well, I have in a way the same path as you describe. It started almost by learning or thinking that the whole spiritual world, everybody was male except Mary. But then I realized that the most important is the feminine. But I cannot sort of comment more on this. And lately I have been working quite much with this fourth gate into the spiritual world, and that is a sort of feminine masculine, the guardian. It seems to be more and more feminine. You say, if you call the first gate of the spiritual world the gate of the sun, where there is definitely a masculine guardian, then you come to the door of the elements, where there are one masculine and one half masculine guardian. Then you come to the door of death, where there are three female guardians. And then to the door of the light, where there is a sort of a gradient, it's both female and male. So in my world, this has become more and more female, like you described, actually, like your path there. But I don't know really how to comment on that. I think what I have said is the comment I'm able to do at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I just feel like in the world that I have grown up in, it's just a primarily spiritual male world. And I have felt so differently for so long, you know, that it is at least equal. You can't really have one without the other.
No, it's quite obvious. Quite obvious.
Mm-hmm. All right, can I give a short comment on this particular question?
Yes.
Yeah, because for example, male more representing female principle, because as you know, male has a female etheric body, and etheric is, you know, something which is closer to the ego. So in spiritual manner, so males are females, and all eurythmists, they know about it, because when they have male in the group, they have female etheric body, which is sharing energy, sharing the etheric force. So female etheric body is male, so which is more aggressive, I would say, etc., etc. So it has male qualities. And speaking in terms of spiritual beings, so this is only text because we have certain names and we call it, like, for example, males. In fact, being of Christ, named by Rudolf Steiner as female being, which is carrying female principles. There are two types in the spiritual world, male beings and female beings, but they are absolutely different than we understand. It's not, let's say, physical view. So because male beings, this is beings which are representing themselves only. For example, spirit of form. It's only spirit of form and nothing else. But female beings, for example, Christ, which is ego of our universe, this is being which includes many different beings which are serving for him as spiritual ships. Like, for example, mystic lamp or Christ has spirit of form which is serving for him as physical body, for example. Not as physical bodies, but something which is kind of, for us, will be physical body or lower ship. So it's quite illusionary questions. So kind of, because in fact, when you're dealing with men, you should understand in spiritual sense, it's more female. And actually females, specifically, I mean, when you see very active females, they're representing male principle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jordan.
Quick question about Christianizing a species of trees that's very sick in my area of Montana, and I'm wondering if you've had any experience with Christianizing plants and trees, and if you've recognized any difference in them after you've done so.
Oh, yeah, I've done it with quite often with sick trees and sick plants.
Okay. Right now I'm working on a way of observing the trees, like kind of like scanning them to find the middle. And since it's a full, like the entire species seems to be very ill, it's the white pine, the Western white pine in this area. And, you know, I'm wondering if I Christianize one, if it, because of the mycelial network, if it will kind of.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It will.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Po Eng Sam. Po Eng Sam is next.
Hello,
Yeah.
Are.
Hi.
I'm really excited by your work, and I only have seen lots of different videos of your talks, and I've been doing more shamanic work for many years, but also have a thread of Tai Chi Wushigung, which is a form of Qigong and energy work. And I love the synchronicity of this Vulcan. I was listening to a Vulcanarian person talking about volcanoes, and then you're talking about volcanoes. And I also had a client who came last week and I feel I'm changing the nature of my healing work, and it seems to be happening with that consciousness of the Christ consciousness. And
Good.
there was this, I don't know how maybe it's a different language, but I'm finding for the last year, many people are coming with elemental issues or spirits that aren't theirs. And I don't know if that's whether it's an imbalance of too strong an Aramaic force or whatever. But anyway, in my understanding of my language, it's like a being speaks through them. So it's like this elemental energy. They couldn't speak. They found that they couldn't speak, but they were making a really big hissing sound. And we were able to determine that it was a fire elemental. So and I don't know, volcano just came into my head, and I said, but see, I don't know whether I'm doing relocation, translocation, or transformation, but I bring in the through sound very much, vibration, and calling Kuan Yin and Archangel Michael to be with that being, but I don't know if that's the same thing, but there is great peace afterwards, and this being has gone where it needs to go, but I have this question of, does it really go, or am I just translocating?
If it goes, you are translocating. It should actually stay where it is, and then you transform it.
Okay. So the question, I don't see them, but I can feel a peace within the person, or they tell me they feel a peace. I don't necessarily see the thing, the being, the energy going. So maybe I need to do more research on this. I mean,
The point is, we are not supposed to make anything go away.
We
are not supposed to make even the demon go away or the disease go away. We are supposed to transform it where there is, and then it will bring something positive to the human being.
Right. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, dear friends, we are working already.
Shall we put a line at some place now, Andre?
I don't know. I mean, looks like we have endless questions. It's already second circle for Bonnie, for example, and she is asking more. So, dear friends, we have a Telegram channel, so which is great source. I mean, we can exchange, and maybe Ari can join us. I mean, to give some short. I mean, if you have time.
Yeah, I will.
Short answers. So I will send you instructions. So, okay, why don't we maybe take, I mean, Bonnie, can you be really short with your question?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so and then we will take your question, and then we will appoint next time and date.
Okay, Ari?
And we will conclude the session. Okay, go ahead, Bonnie.
Thank you. I'm wondering if there is a detailed description of the different layers of the earth that Nick was talking about in one of your books, Ari, or could you describe them? I mean, obviously not in brief right now, but where can we find that information?
You find it in the work of Rudolf Steiner, you find it in the work of Judith von Halle, and you find also some descriptions in my books, especially the Fading and Merging book.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And Robert,
excellent.
And Robert also have some descriptions of these layers. But most are described the 9 evil layers and not the 12 good layers. Yeah.
And the goal is described there too, what we should do there.
I describe it in the Merging and Fading book.
Great.
Which was published just 2 months ago or 1 month ago. Yeah.
Yes, I have it. I haven't quite finished it. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So shall we appoint next date, Ari?
Yeah. Let me see.
So which will be like in about 2 months. So it will be end of April or so.
4th of April. The 27. Yeah, there we have to do it. We have to do it the 13th of April. Either 13th or we have to wait till the 18th of May. 13th of April or 18th of May, that is Whitsun, so that will not maybe work either. So then the 1st of June. So we can say 13th of April, I think.
Great.
Okay.
Good.
Oh yeah, dear friends, please put on your calendar. So it will be 11 a.m. as usual, Central Time, US, Canada, Mexico. And it will be April 13th.
Good.
Okay, and just a little reminder, can we be all more disciplined when we are registering? So this is 3 steps of registration: 1, 2nd, and 3rd. And 3rd step, you should send your approval to email, which is stated in the announcement. And not too many people are doing this, and it just creates so many problems for me. So I have to go in PayPal account and and look for you. So, and sometimes people not even kind of putting in memory this is for Ari's workshop, because we have many programs in our branch. Yeah. All right. So, dear Ari, thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom, for spending time with us. So thank you so much. And yeah, looking forward for April 13th for another session. So dear friends, please feel free to unmute your machine and say a big thank you to Ari. And I hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Online.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ari. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Ari.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ari.
So
Thank you very
grateful to
much.
everyone,
Thank you to Andre.
everyone's
always.
contributions. Thank you, Andre.
Thank you, guys.
Nick.
Thank you both.
Andre.
Oh.
Such a lot of people.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Andre. You did a great job. Great job. As smooth as silk. Smooth as silk.
Sure, Nick. Talk to you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Be well.